Hello and welcome to this video. In the last of the series, we're going to install the Juniper images on GNS3. So as you can see, I have GNS3 loaded up now. Now because I'm using Linux, I'm not having to use the likes of VirtualBox or VMware, which is fantastic. So where we left off in the last video, we have our images downloaded directly from Juniper. So what we're going to do, we're going to import them in. Now you'll find that this a lot easier on GNS3 to import them. So let's get cracking. So we're going to start with the vMX image, the router image. So we're going to go into the vMX folder and we're going to go into images. Now, if you remember before, when we installed this on EVE-NG, we had 3 files that we had to use for the control plane and 1 file for the packet forwarding engine. And it's exactly the same here. The only difference with these is that we don't have to name them. So what we're going to do in GNS3, we're going to go to Edit at the top, and then down to Preferences, and then we're going to go to QEMU VMs right here, and we're going to click on New to add a new VM. So I'm going to call this, let's have a look, we'll call it VMX hyphen control plane CP. That should be VMX, not VMS. Okay, and I'm going to click Next, and I'm going to allocate this 2 gigs of memory, and click Next again. And it's going to ask me how do I want to console into it, so I'm going to Telnet, and now it's asking me for the disk image. So I'm going to look for the image now, so I'm going to click on New Image, and I'm going to go to Browse, and I'm going to scroll to my downloads folder. I'm going to go into my VMX images and image again, and now I'm going to choose the file name, which is what I'm going to do. So what we're going to have is we're going to have the QCal2 image here for the VMX routing engine. That's going to be our first one, and then we're going to choose the USB one, and then we're going to choose the HDD image at the bottom. So let's choose this one here, click Open, and it will take a moment. It says it's now going to import it, so yes, I want to import the image, and then click Finish. Now as you can see, as far as it's concerned, this image is now imported, which of course it's not, because we need to add the other 2 devices, 2 parts of the image to it. So let's have a little look and see what we can do. So I'm going to go on to Edit. I'm going to allocate it now 2 CPUs instead of the 1, and I'm going to go to hard disk. So my disk image is now there for my disk 1. So disk 2, I'm going to click Browse, and I'm going to choose the metadata. Alright, let's have a look at that. Okay, so Browse. Oops, sorry, it's going a little bit slow there. Okay, so let's see what we have. So actually it's going to be the VMX HDD data. That is going to be our second one. We're going to add that in, and our third one now is going to be the re-image, the metadata USB re-image. Click Open on that, and I'm going to allow that to copy it to the default folder, and I'm going to click OK, and that's fantastic. So as we can see here, we have the 3 hard disks. Okay, so let's make some more amendments. So I want to have 2 adapters for this, one for the FPC management and one for the internal link. Now, what you'll find with GNS3 is that there is some issues that it doesn't rename the ports correctly. So what I normally do is go and I amend them myself. So what I've done, I've clicked on configure custom adapters, and I'm going to change port number 1 to FXP, and I'm just going to change port number 2 to internal so I know where I'm up to. I'm going to click OK on that, and in the general settings I'm also going to go to symbol because I want to make this a router. So I'm going to click on classic, and we'll go down till we find the router, and I'm going to put it into the router devices in the category. Click OK and click apply. So now we have the control plane set up. Let's now set up the forwarding plane. So again, I'm going to go to new, and I'm going to type vMX FP so I know where I'm up to. So that's the forwarding plane. I'm going to click next, and we can get away, I believe, with, I think you can get away with 1 gig of RAM, but I'm going to leave it as 2 gigs of RAM. Okay, fantastic. We're going to leave it as telnet, so we click next again, and the disk image, we're just going to wait for this to go through the local host. I'm going to choose new image, I'm going to go browse, and I'm going to scroll down until I find the VFP, which is there. I'm going to open, and it's going to import that image in at some point. There we go, and click finish. Fantastic. So let's edit this. So I want to run 3 CPUs for this particular device. I'm going to make it in the router section, and I know that this is where I'll be connecting all of my connections to. So I like to personally go into the red and choose switch, just so I can see instantly where I am. Your mileage may vary. You can use whichever sort of image, whichever icons you like, depending on what you want. So let's have a look and see what we have. So boom, 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 boom. That'll do nicely. There we go. Now, again, with the, if you go into the network tab, we're going to set that to, let's say, how many, 12 adapters. Now, if I click on configure, they're all now Ethernet 0 all the way, and Ethernet 1, Ethernet 2. Well, that's not correct. So I know that's going to be my FXP for my management, and I know that's going to be my internal. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to type 00, 01, 02, 03, 4, 05, 6, 7, 08, and 09. Now you can actually put the whole thing in there, like GE-0/0/0 all the way down to 9 if you want. You can name these however you like. Now the only thing you need to be mindful of is the VFP, the forwarding plane. It has problems if the interface type is set to Giga Ethernet. So I find if you set it to the para virtualized adapter at the bottom, it should boot absolutely fine. So let me double check where I've set this to go. So this is in routers, that's fine. So click OK, and now I have my image there. Just click apply and OK. So as you can see in the router section, I now have my control plane and my forwarding plane. So let's drag out a control plane. Let's drag out forwarding plane. And then what we'll do, as soon as the forwarding plane decides to come out, we'll connect them together. Fantastic. And let's connect internal to my internal port. Brilliant. And what we're going to do now, we're going to start them and we're going to see if they boot up and everything's fine. Occasionally, depending what sort of adapters that you have on your PC or your server, you may have to play around with the particular adapters. So this control plane is set to the standard Ethernet adapter, the Intel Ethernet adapter, whereas the forwarding plane has been changed to the power virtualized adapter. You may find that depending on your system, if the interfaces don't come up or they just don't boot, you may have to change them both. So through trial and error, I would maybe boot up 4 or 5 different images at the same time with different network adapter configurations till I found the one that actually worked for the system I was using. But on the whole, you normally find that the forwarding plane is normally power virtualized and the VMX control plane is normally the Intel E1000 interface. So let's open up here. Okay, ooh, so we see it's booting up fine. If you remember from the EVE-NG, we didn't do anything with the forwarding plane. It's just a Linux shell. You don't have any real access to any command line on that. So all the configuration is done on the control plane and all the connections are done on the forwarding plane. Unless, of course, you're connecting a management interface, in which case you can use the management interface on the control plane itself. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so this seems to be going relatively fast. So I'm going to pause the video until this boots up. Okay, so the image is fully booted up now. It hasn't taken very long at all, which is great. So let's log in. So it's root to log in, and as you can see, it's put us straight into the root shell because there's no configuration on this. Do a CLI, and let's see whether the interfaces are up. They may be up yet, not too sure. Let's have a look. So show interface terse. Oh, there you go. They're already up as well. That's fantastic. So let's get rid of the auto image upgrade. Otherwise, this will always continue coming through. So we're going to configure mode. And then we're going to delete chassis auto image upgrade. And set system root authentication. Plain text password, put password on. Okay, commit. Alright, oh, that's fantastically fast compared to the likes of using VMware and even worse, VirtualBox, GNS3. These images work exceptionally fast. Okay, so that's fine. So there we go. That's rocking and rolling. So what's going to happen, the video is now looking to be coming up to 14 minutes. I was going to include both the VSRX and the QFX on the one video, but I think it would be a little bit too long. So I'm going to end the video here and I'm going to pick up on a new video for the other image. Thank you very much for watching and I hope to see you in the next one.